This is the Embodied Performance Podcast, episode 21. I'm Nick Markey, Beach Barbell, Wilmington, North Carolina, physical therapy and performance and strength training. Today I'm recording this while making my lunch as I'm about to leave. But today I want to talk about what's called progressive overload. It's a key principle within strength training. I think it has some sort of parallels to other sort of things in non-training or exercise related, but I will focus more on the exercise side. Basically, progressive overload is providing a challenge or stimulus to your body over time, gradually adding a little bit more as you are making progress. So say that you normally lift about 10 pounds. So you start lifting 15 pounds for the first week and you get stronger. So then now you lift 20. And then over that next week, you lift 25. This starts out for most people when they start weightlifting. This starts out a lot more rapidly. Like you would possibly be able to make gains like that, like 5 pounds every time. As you become more advanced, you don't make those kind of gains. You start to make much, much smaller gains, and perhaps gains that you don't really see weekly. It might be months, maybe a year or two when you start to see other gains. The science behind it is essentially we first develop better control and coordination. So when you're first doing the movement, you're not very good at it. So your body gradually gets you better at it. So you're more efficient. And then over time, you become probably for that particular move, become just about as efficient as you can be, more or less. And you start to then need to make adaptations in your muscle. Muscle takes longer to adapt compared to like the nervous system, for instance. So over time, first the nervous system, you get better at doing the actual skill. And then with that, you also then gradually build more muscle to, if you're doing weight training, that is, to be able to accomplish that skill in more progressive fashion. It's an important key in strength training to make progress. Some people kind of fall into the making quote unquote muscle confusion. It's kind of a silly term because muscle isn't really thinking, but the idea behind it is that you kind of always are doing different things so that you're kind of always staying in that low efficiency zone. There's also kind of camps that run it as more of because as you do more of a same stimulus, same thing, you start to get used to it or accommodate to it. And so if maybe you do different things, change it up more often, then perhaps you won't accommodate to it and you will make more gains in a shorter period of time, perhaps, than if you just kind of stuck with one thing. Now, if you do that last one in a smart and thought out manner, then that could make sense. I think the idea of just doing different things all the time so you never get used to it or never become efficient at it might just kind of keep you always a newbie as opposed to getting good at something. So I don't think that's the way I would go for it. But if you take the long view for this, then you're generally going to make progress over time. And if you're not really competing in some sort of weightlifting or strength type competition, and maybe you just, want to perform better in your daily life, and perhaps, or sport or something, some activity, then you maybe don't need to worry that hard about fine tuning every little last detail. If you just go in, do the work, and do your best, and over the long period of time, just gradually try to do a little bit more if you can, then you're generally going to be getting the benefit you need out of it. So that's just kind of like your everyday person, your average Joe, trying to make the most out of what they're trying to do. So basically, progressive overload, providing something that's just a little bit more challenging than your normal, and over time your body adapting to rise to that challenge. And then when it adapts, then you give it the next challenge. I mentioned this paralleling other parts of life. So from a close parallel would be like, shooting free throws. You might start off very close, and then once you're good at that, you keep backing up until maybe you're knocking down, threes or half court shots or something, because you gradually have improved. That wouldn't probably be so much of a muscle change, but more of a skill and efficiency change. But it kind of applies to just about any skill. There are, at least from strength training perspective, there are, probable genetic limits that, if you're drug free, that you can only really rise to. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do these things. You shouldn't work for it, because perhaps even just the act of doing it makes a huge benefit. And even you don't know what your genetic potential is, but it's still, just from strength training perspective, it's still a good idea to do it. From a health perspective, strength training is good for just about everybody to do, regardless of their genetic potential or activities or whatever they do. Even if you just walk around, and do just, normal light activities all day, still be a good idea to do strength training based on myriad of benefits. And I'll touch on that maybe in tomorrow or the next day, going through some of those benefits and whatnot and why you should do it. So we have providing a little bit more challenge over the normal day-to-day, what you normally do. There's another concept I think I'll leave to a separate podcast as well, kind of a minimal dose. So that would be trying, kind of, if you think of it from a medicine supplement standpoint, like what's the least amount I need to do to get the gain, the benefit. This idea can be applied to strength training as well for just your average person or whatever. I think I will touch on that on another podcast. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow, and then I'll do the why you should strength train the next day. But the idea being that if I can do the least amount of effort to get the majority of the benefit, then why not? Why go do a whole bunch of extra if it's really not that necessary? So progressive overload, challenge yourself little by little, start small, build slow. Like I've said before, if you have a certain amount you normally do, try just a teeny bit more than that. And then over time you'll adapt to that, and then gradually add more as you make progress. It's a simple concept, but there's a saying that, knowing what to do is easy, but doing it is the hard part. So applying the principle, and we've talked about discipline in the past, and of course I'll bring that up more and more. It's a good thing to do to keep yourself healthy, and kind of keep yourself a little bit on your toes, being more ready for what life gives you, be more prepared, as we like to say. Okay, I think that'll probably wrap it up. Just got under 10 minutes. Perfect. Again, I'm Nick Markey, Beach Barbell, Wilmington, North Carolina, physical therapy, performance and strength training. Reach out if you need anything. Bye.